Welcome to the introduction video for apps.semiocryptus, a gallery of AI applications. This is the first video in a planned series of 3. This first video will introduce the site and apps, the second will guide you on how to create your own content, and the third will discuss developing your own applications. What is apps.semiocryptus? It is a gallery of agent-based generative apps. These provide advanced content generation that builds on the capabilities of foundational generative models such as DALL-E and ChatGPT. In order to create new content, you'll need your own OpenAI API key, which we'll discuss in detail in the next video. You do not need a key to view content. This site is built using an open source platform, Skynet, which is released under the Apache license. The server components are Java-based and written in Kotlin. The user interface is a dynamic web application. Please note that these applications are prototypes, and this entire project is the product of a single part-time developer. My focus for the past months have been getting this platform ready for release. Now that I can refocus on the apps, I expect them to improve quickly. Next, let's discuss agents. Agents model a creative or critical thinking process using various configurations for GPTs, each with a particular model and prompt. I like to think of this as a process akin to human thinking patterns, such as brainstorming methods or writing techniques. These agents bear similarity to ChatGPT assistants or a number of other projects, but this is distinct in being JVM-based. This allows for easy integration with other Java projects. It also features a friendly web-based UI. Next, let's discuss authentication and permissions. This platform operates on a bring-your-own-key model, and some features are reserved for Patreon supporters. If you wish to create content, you'll need your own OpenAI API key. That will be covered in the next video. While the website uses Patreon for authentication, sponsorship is optional. You can use a free Patreon account for authentication only, which can in turn pass through to your Google or Apple account. However, becoming a sponsor gives you access to premium and beta apps and gives you the ability to share your sessions. If you are a coworker of mine, simply authenticate to Patreon using your corporate email via Google OAuth and you will have sponsor level access. This site is structured as a gallery of applications. When you use an application to create content, that is done in a session. You can then create public sharing links from these sessions. These shares are hosted on a separate service stack, which will be faster and more available than the raw sessions being served on the application stack, in addition to not requiring authentication. Finally, let's explore the website. If the default theme doesn't suit your preference, you can choose from a number of different color schemes. These themes are a good example of how this project itself was enabled by generative AI. This feature and the themes themselves were 90% written by ChatGPT. At any rate, let's take a look at our first app, the Illustrated Storybook Generator. By selecting List Sessions, we can view previously created stories. Let's select this one. Here we can see the initial prompt, in this case Teenage Mutant Ninja Kittens, and how the system generates an initial outline for the story. The system expands this outline into a full script and then parses the story into pages. Each page is then narrated and illustrated. At the end of content generation, a storybook is compiled in HTML form. However, before we open this, let's talk about sharing. We can go to the Session Share menu and get a sharing link, which is not only public, but also loads faster. We do unfortunately lose the theme in this archived version. We can then navigate to the final shareable story URL, which even contains a button to coordinate the playback of the entire storybook.
Once upon a whisker in the quaint little town of Posington, there lived 4 adorable kittens named Whisker,
However, let's continue. Another key feature is cost management. Cost is one reason this project runs on a bring your own key model, as usage can add up quickly. We can both track and set limits on cost on a per session level to control this. For example, this session cost about 80 cents. By default, jobs have a budget of $2. Each session also generates various files, accessible via the Files page. The contents here depend on the application, of course. Here we have illustrations, narrations, and the final storybook page. Additionally, if we navigate to the .sys hidden folder, we can see internal details, including the OpenAI API log, Our next application is the Meta Agent. The first step in writing an agent involves describing an idea to this agent, which first creates a high-level design and then expands that into a specification for the logical flow and each actor used. It then implements the logical flow and actors, or agents, and then compiles it all into a final application code. Although the output will undoubtedly need some work, it generally serves as a strong foundation for further development. As this system improves, I expect it will eventually generate fully functional applications from the get-go. Finally, I'd like to briefly cover two more applications in this initial offering. The first is the Debate app, which is similar to the Outline app in that it takes an initial prompt and it generates a point cloud to explore a topic. However, it gets there by specifying a debate with a number of participants and a number of questions. The cross product of answering those questions are then parsed into statements which populate the cloud. Finally, the presentation generator is essentially like the illustrated storybook generator, but for business purposes. It will take an initial topic and plan out a presentation. It then expands each slide of that presentation into detailed content, which is then narrated, illustrated, and summarized in formatted HTML. This is then tied together in a final presentation HTML file. That concludes our introduction to apps.semiacryptis. I hope this has been informative, and I hope that you enjoy exploring the site. Thank you for your time.